For this next example, we are asked again to find the center, the vertices, the foci, and sketch a graph, and we're given this equation. Now, unfortunately, this equation is not in standard form, so we need to change it into standard form. So I'm going to do that down here. Probably use this area right here to do that. So what we're going to do, in order to change this into standard form, we're going to have to group all of our x values, group all of our y values, and complete the square. So we have this equation here, x squared plus 4x, and then plus 4y squared minus 8y plus 4 equals 0. We want to, again, group the x values, group the y values. We also want to move this constant to the other side, so I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. Subtract 4 from both sides. And that's going to give me -4 over here. So we have our x's grouped, we have our y's grouped, and we need to complete the square. Now, if you recall, in order to complete the square, the coefficient in front must be 1. So we can't just divide by 4 because that's going to mess up our completing the square over here. So we need to factor a 4 out of this. So if we factor a 4 out, we will have 4 times the quantity y squared minus 2y equals -4. And then this quantity is going to stay the same. X squared plus 4x. And then we have plus 4 here. So now we need to complete the square. So to complete the square, you take the value of b here divided by 2. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. Square that. So we're going to add 4 here. We're going to add 4 to this side, because remember, anything you do to one side must be done to the other. Do the same thing over here. So we take -2 divided by 2, which is -1. -1 squared is +1. So we're going to add 1 here. Now we're not, sorry, there's an airplane going by. Now we're not actually just adding a 1, because this 1 is really being multiplied by 4. So this, if we were to distribute this 4 back in, would really just be a 4. So we're adding a 4 in, another 4. It looks like we added a 1, but it was really 1 times this 4, right? So it's 4 times 1. And then we're going to factor each of these groups and take this sum over here. So this quantity over here factors to be x plus 2 quantity squared. This is going to be plus 4 times the quantity y minus 1 quantity squared equals, these will cancel, and we're going to just be left with 4 here. So we're almost in standard form. If you recall, in order for this to be in standard form, the value on the right, our coefficient, must be 1. So we're going to take everything and divide by 4, divide by 4, divide by 4, and then reduce. So this is already reduced, so we get x plus 2 quantity squared divided by 4, plus, these will reduce to be 1s, so we're going to get y minus 1 quantity squared. For convenience sake, I'm going to put this over 1, but it won't always be written that way. Just know that you can turn this into a fraction because it might help us find values of a and b in the future. And then 4 divided by 4 is 1. So now this is our standard form equation, and we can kind of start to try and find the center, vertices, and foci. So let's find our center first. So the center, the x-coordinate, remember, is just the opposite of this, so it's -2. And the y-coordinate is the opposite of this, is 1. So we have a center at -2, 1. The major axis is going to be parallel to the x-axis because the value of a is under our x quantity being squared. So a is going to be the square root of this, so a is 2. b is the square root of our smaller denominator, so the square root of 1 is just 1. And then c, and give myself some space here to find c. Remember that the relationship between a, b, and c is as follows. So a squared is equal to b squared plus c squared. So to find c, we can just isolate c by subtracting b squared. So c squared is equal to a squared minus b squared. Whoops. Squared minus b squared. So c squared is equal to 4 minus 1, which means that c is equal to the square root of 3. So we have c equals the square root of 3. All right, so now we can use all this information to plot our vertices, the foci, and sketch our graph. So our vertices, again, our major axis is going to be parallel to the x-axis. So that means that we're going to be moving 2 units to the right and left of our center. So 2 units to the right, 1, 2, sorry, it's going to put me here. And then 2 units to the left here. And then our minor axis is going to be up 1 and down 1, right here and here. So those are our points. So let's find the ordered pairs of our vertices. So because we went 2 units to the right, that was a change in the x value. So we went right 2 units. That puts us at 0, 1. 0, 1. And then we also went left 2 units. So that from negative 2, 1, that's going to put us at negative 4, 1. 1. So those are our 2 vertices. Our foci are going to be the square root of 3 units to the right and left. So the square root of 3 is in between 1 and 2. It's somewhere around here and here. So if we're thinking about the ordered pairs, well, this is just rad 3 units to the right of our center. And so that's a change in the x by adding rad 3 to the x. So the x coordinate for our focus is going to be the x coordinate of our center plus the square root of 3. And the y coordinate didn't change. But it's also going to be rad 3 to the left. So we're going to take our center, the x coordinate, and just subtract the square root of 3. And then its y coordinate, again, did not change. So those are the coordinates of the focus. These are the coordinates of the vertices. And then this is our center. So here we have that. And then we just quickly sketch our ellipse. So it's just going to be this here. And there we have it. A pretty terrible, but sketch of our ellipse nonetheless.